Crawford. It's so lovely of you to join us. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. All right, so obviously I want to ask you a couple questions, just generally about you and I guess your journey as far as becoming a teacher and coming this far, now being star teacher, like how you got here. So like, tell me as much as you're willing to share, just like about your childhood and stuff like that.
My childhood, well, I was a military child. My dad was military, Army. I was born at Fort Eisenhower. Back then it was Fort Gordon. Lived in Germany for 3 years, relocated back to Fort Gordon, and this is where I've been ever since. I left, went to high school here, George P. Butler High School. Left and went to college for 4 years in Alabama and came back, and this is where I've been.
And you were a social worker, right?
Correct.
Right.
I did that for 14 years.
Wow. How was that?
Yeah. It was rewarding, but very stressful. I started out doing like food stamps, Medicaid, like that, but then I transitioned to investigating child abuse. So I work with children who've been abused, families who children have been removed from the home or in danger of being removed from the home, and help families reunite or either being prevented from the child from being removed from the home. Like I said, it was rewarding yet very stressful. You know, it's always sad to see children get mistreated, so that was really hard for me at times. There were times where I had to work after hours, go get a child from the home after hours, or go investigate. So it started to play a big toll on me emotionally.
Yeah, it seems really intense.
Yeah.
So how did you go from that to teaching?
Well, I actually got a couple of promotions where I was supervisor, started supervising other caseworkers and stuff, and it took me away from actually working with children. And honestly, I don't like chasing behind adults and telling adults what they should or should not be doing, or they're doing this or that wrong. That's just not my personality. So I wanted to find a career that was still rewarding and still give me the opportunity to work with children. Ta-da!
Well,
Teaching seemed like the perfect thing.
yeah. Well, we're happy to have you here, obviously.
Well,
Obviously
thank
I am,
you.
considering. Yeah. Interesting. So what is your relationship? Why did you decide to teach English?
Well, actually, I don't know if you probably never heard of, but the superintendent of Columbia County, prior to the one that's there now, she was my English teacher and my Spanish teacher at Butler.
Wow.
And I fell in love with English ever since I had her. So when I decided to come into teaching, I knew I wasn't good in math. So I thought English would be the best choice for me because I enjoy reading. I've always enjoyed writing. So, yeah.
I see. So tell me about your teaching journey.
Okay, well, I started out, like I said, when I left working with being a caseworker at DFACS, I was hired as a teacher, a second grade teacher actually,
Wow.
right, at, at Collins K through 8 school. The school no longer exists right now, but I was a second grade teacher for 1 year. Although I love the babies, that just, it broke my heart because, you know, elementary school is when they get the red light, green light, things like that. So to see kids react when you have to let them know or let the parents know that they didn't do so well that day, that just, so I went from second grade to 5th grade. And then they needed me in the middle school aspect, so I moved to middle school and did 6th, 7th, and 8th grade for the next, how long was I at Collins? For the next 6 years. I really enjoyed that experience working with inner city kids. Have some stories. And actually a lot of those kids I still keep in touch with. My first group, I have a few of them that's going on to college, have families now. Matter of fact, I just got a baby shower invitation from somebody not
Wow.
too long ago from my middle school days. So things like that is very, very rewarding when I know that kids are still think about me even in their adulthood.
Yeah.
Then once Collins, they decided to tear Collins down, that's when I put in my transfer. And at that time, they were actually having the teachers, they were going to place us. But I knew I didn't want to go to another middle school, so I put in applications, or I reached out to different high school principals. And the principal at TCM at the time, she called me in for an interview, and this is where I've been ever since.
And then we also got middle grades, so.
Yes, now we have middle grades, but back then we didn't.
Right.
Yeah.
You said you had some stories. I'd love to hear some.
Oh,
you're
I don't know
willing
if
to
I
share.
could tell.
Well,
No, I'm
anything
just
that doesn't break the NDA.
I don't know. Let's see. I don't know. This just, I guess, when I think about my Collins babies, I think about how, and this is, I guess, my philosophy, period, when it comes to students, trying to build relationships. Because I feel like once you build relationships with students and get to know them, then you're able to connect better.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, they'll be willing to do stuff for you, like maybe whether it's do their work or whatever it is. They'll be willing to do stuff for you. So I really believe in building relationships. And then even with that, it helps me to know whether or not something is wrong with the student. Like, I never want to push a student and try to make them do something on a day that they're just having a bad day. And I feel like when you know your students, and if a student has their head down, sleep or whatever, and this goes back to my DFACS days too, I guess. You don't know if that student has eaten, if they had to stay up because their parents had to work late, or whatever that reason is. So if I see somebody's having a bad day or something and I ask them, you know, what's wrong, and if they tell me nothing, I try to tell them, don't tell me nothing, because Ms. Crawford knows you. Just tell me you don't want to talk about it right now. And that usually makes a person feel relaxed, or makes the student feel relaxed. And just know I want you all to feel like you can come to me and talk to me, or feel like, you know, I would help you if you needed help or whatever. So
Yeah. Getcha.
I don't know if I answered. I think I got off topic. Did I get off topic?
So yeah, can you tell us any stories? Not necessarily just at that school, but like, you know, just generally.
What kind of story? Like,
I don't know.
um,
Funny, inspirational, whatever you're feeling.
funny or inspirational? Let's see.
School appropriate.
Ooh. Let me think. I guess one story that I can think of, and this goes back to building relationships with students, and working with the inner city children. You know, a lot of times people view them as bad behavior and things like that, but I used to try to switch it around, and the student that I knew that the other students respected or were scared of or whatever, I would use that student really to my advantage. Or students that people thought were bad behavior, I'll say. What I would do was use that student to run errands for me, or, you know, just kind of take that student under my wing. And just as an example, there was this one particular student that other teachers deemed bad behavior or whatever, and I took that student under my wing, and it started to get to a point where if the other students were off task in class, or tried to show out in class or whatever, he would put his foot down. Y'all hear Miss Crawford teaching? Y'all hear Miss Crawford doing whatever? Y'all better sit down and do what she said do. And, you know, he was a student at the beginning where he wouldn't do his work either.
Right.
But when he saw that I truly cared, which I really did, truly cared about who he was as a person, then he started doing his work. He made sure the other kids did their work. And like right now, I still keep in touch with him and his sister, because I taught his sister as well, his brother. Keep in touch with all of them. He's ended up on a football scholarship when he went to high school, ended up on a football scholarship, was able to get academic money as well because he brought his grades up. He's now, has graduated college, 4-year degree, and his master's.
Ooh.
He's in the Air Force, either Army or Air Force, I think it's Air Force, married with 3 kids. And
Wow.
every birthday I get a call from him or a text message, and he calls me Ma. Ma, I was calling to check on you. This is what's going on in my life. And he's even been up to the school to see me a couple of times when he's in town. If he comes in town, he comes to see me. And it's a few of them that do that. You might see old students that come back to visit, and that's very, very touching. Speaking of, I just got another, yesterday I think it was, wedding save the date from former 2 students that went here, and their brother one of them brother goes here now.
Oh.
And he brought me the envelope, and it was save the date for their wedding. So
Oh,
I'm
wow.
excited about that.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
You're very popular.
Yeah. I don't know about that, but
So our last question for today,
Mm-hmm.
not to take all of the spotlight, but how do you feel about being star teacher?
now when I tell you that was very humbling, and it really, really touched me, because Lee, you're the type of student that every teacher wants to teach.
I don't know about that.
You are.
You should get in touch with my
You-
elementary school teachers.
No,
I got kicked out of
no.
Walker.
I can't believe that. If you did, you've matured and you've grown into a wonderful person. But quick story with you.
Oh dear.
I don't know if you
forgotten this by now.
remember last year when y'all had an assignment and you thought that I graded it, that
yeah,
you should have
and I
got
made the
more points.
PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you made that PowerPoint to try to convince me why your grade should be, that was the best thing ever. And I went and I told my family about it and everything. Then they was like, "But did you change the grade?" I was like, "No, but."
My mom's girlfriend did not like that. She saw
Really?
she saw it on my OneDrive, and I got told off for that.
Oh, tell her I thought it was wonderful. I thought it was
did.
wonderful.
She didn't believe me.
But yeah, that really touched me, and I really appreciate it. It couldn't have come from a better student.
Well, thank you again. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it,
Well,
especially on
thank
such
you.
short notice.
Thank you. Anytime.